Sometimes cheap and expensive items are the same thing with the only difference being the brand name. What are some examples of this? You guys should see the stuff we deal with in the medical field. I wanted to get a mesh metal glove to protect myself when using a saw during autopsies. Our medical supplier, Fisher Scientific, sold the hospital a medical grade chainmail glove for $300. They forgot to take the "but pro shops" tag off. It was a $12 glove for cleaning fish. Their name should have been a giveaway, Fisher Scientific. Years ago I was on a similar thread and found that melamine sponges are the same thing as Mr. Clean Magic erasers. So I hopped on AliExpress and bought 300 of them for a few bucks at 3 AM. I totally forgot that I'd done it. Today I learned they showed up 6 weeks later. My wife was really confused. They do work great though, and now we'll never run out. Costco Kirkland brand is often white labeled brand name items. Kirkland might as well be a name brand. There are plenty of times where their quality has been better than the name brand. Aquarium nerds will know this one. Silicone. Aquariums are usually held together with silicone. And silicone is just 100% silicone, so generally predictable product, no matter who makes it. Except many brands for kitchen and bathroom ceiling have added chemicals to keep mildew from growing on the cured silicone. This is a big no-no for aquariums. Basically poison that would kill your aquarium pets. So you gotta read the ingredients and information carefully to make sure it's not anti-mildew or anything dubious added. Or you can pay double or triple for a pack of silicone with a big aquarium brand stamp. Saw it on YouTube. They showed a part of Minicooper that cost 350 plus €. The exact same part was sold by Puget for only €70. ZZZ Quill is at least a 200% markup from Benadryl. The only active ingredient in ZZZ Quill is 25 mg of diphenhydramine, whereas Benadryl is also 25 mg of diphenhydramine. Quick question. Is there a difference between cheap and expensive brands of bleach and rubbing alcohol? Yes. I'm aware of the recent news. No. This has nothing to do with that. I'm really just curious. No. Though some are made from isopropyl alcohol and some from ethanol. But in any case, as long as you're comparing the same type, brand doesn't matter. I was in a shop looking at laptop bags and there were two brands right next to each other that were exactly the same. Same dimensions, color, materials, padding, everything. Except one was almost twice the price than the other. I worked in a frozen waffle / pancake factory once, and the only difference between the name brand and off-brand frozen waffles and pancakes was a little metal arm flipping back and forth to ensure every other waffle / pancake of the same bakery / freezer line made it to the name brand packaging line or off-brand packaging line. Edit, it wasn't ducking eggs. I used to work for manufacturing machinery company. You'll be surprised how many major food and pet food producers make supermarket owned brands. Duracell and Walgreens brand batteries are the same. Source, I used to work for Duracell. Canadian no-name brand, no-name chips, no-name pop, no-name hot cocoa powder. No-name is a goddamn treasure. Their pizza pockets are great too. I've literally never had anything bad come out of a no-name box. I don't know exact brands, but I would say anything identified as for men vs for women. I'm a female, and buy men's deodorant and razors. Here both cheaper and the same exact product, just black vs pink most of the time. Champion does this so much. They have like cheap Champion and the more pricey one. Champion literally used to be stuff and you'd get made fun of for wearing it, and now it's all hyped up. But you can yesterday Island'll find a Champion shirt for less than $10. I have 3. Edit. Thanks for the likes guys. I woke up and just saw all this, and I didn't know it would blow up. I swear kids that wore New Balance shoes used to get the piss taken out of them as well. Generic vs name brand medicine. A lot of no-name or President's Choice here in Canada is just as good, if not better than name brand food items. A lot of food on Aldi is, at least here, overproduction from name brands which is labeled differently. And one of the cheaper beer sorts here is entirely from overproduction, which has the fun effect that you will always get a Pils type beer. But depending where you brought it, it is very different. It's not overproduction. US Aldi and similar Aldi but associated company Trader Joe's has their own label manufacture agreements with multiple suppliers. So they aren't taking excess, they actually have specific Aldi runs of products that are then packaged under their name rather than the manufacturer name. Source: GF is a manufacturer supplier for Aldi. Edit: weird Trader Joe's relationship. I know this quite the answer you want, but Dollar Tree has some of the best plastics Linkies. Retired truck driver here. I often picked up cans of soup for various big retailers. I'll be picking up generic and name branded the same MFG, plant, same soup, same cans, just a different label wrapped around them. Brands like Campbell's will produce generic soup right alongside their own brand. The proportions will be a bit different, but the same plant will produce the same soup for 3 or 4 different off-brands as well as their own. At least Campbell's changes up their formula a bit. Meat packers don't. A meat packer will produce their own brand, plus 1 or 2 off-brands. But it's exactly the same meat, from the same plant, processed exactly the same way. No variation whatsoever. The only difference coming from a meat packing plant is the shipping and handling instructions. Some brands insist the meat not be frozen. Others want it frozen solid as a rock. But the worst offenders is the organic industry. The definition of organic in the US allows for stuff that is definitely not anyone's idea of organic. Organic produce will tend to be smaller than its non-organic counterpart, and often with natural blemishes you normally don't see on regular produce. If it looks exactly like the non-organic counterpart, it's probably not really organic at all. Big telltales, if it's the same size. You don't dump a stuffed ton of pesticide and fair today I learn a dizer on produce and not get bigger produce. I bought the Family Dollar coffee the other day. The aroma seal said Folgers, and it had Folgers imprinted on the side. Dasani water is just bottled tap water. Most bottled water is. Really? In the UK they tried to release Dasani in news that it was just bottled tap spread quick. The release failed miserably. Despite that, and the revelation that most of the waters in the store are this way, other bottled water sells fine. UK My dad works for Hovis bread factory, and out of the supermarket home brands are made by name brands. I believe Hovis used to make M&S bread. Pint of paper. I used to work in a factory that cut the paper down to size. We would load up the packaging material for say Staples, do our run of that, then switch packaging to the generic packaging without switching the bulk paper out. The plain white package holds literally the same as Staples brand, but the brand name is expensive. I'll tell you one example it isn't. Oreos. I'm an avid generic product user. I stay away from brand names where possible. But man, if Oreos only taste like Oreos. Also, Pop-Tarts. Great value dishwasher detergent and Cascade. GV is literally the same but more diluted. I won't skimp on Dawn though. Oh yes, never skimp on Dawn. Dawn has no equal. In Aldi you can get a 12 pack of Okie Dokies for the same price as a 6 pack of Hunky Dories. A lot of people say cereal, but that's not always true. As someone who eats a lot of cereal, store brand of some types of cereal are of significantly lower quality. Not all, but some. Agreed. Store brand Cheerios are completely inedible. Car batteries. Same car battery from Maserati Quattraport can be found in some Fiats for price. Games Workshop shade paints, they are basically just normal oil paints that is extremely thinned down, that is put into a pot and put the Citadel name on it for the brand name, so to justify its expensive price. I used to work in a supermarket. Those Ferrero Raffaello coconut balls were ducking expensive. There were cheaper brands that literally tasted the same. Also Mount Chocolate were more expensive than the Bounty. I don't know why, but they tasted the same to me. My supervisor always insisted on putting cheaper brands near the expensive ones. His logic: they are the same kind of product, so they should be found in the place. What would usually happen is people would take the cheaper brands and the expensive ones would just expire on the shelves. Canned vegetables. Often the only thing that changes in the production line is the label. Commodities can be this way. Soda can be this way. On the flip side, I feel outlet malls have items made just for the discount outlet lines of fashion. I have worked in a pawn shop for 7 years now. We test everything that comes in, so I have heard every kind of headphone and speaker imaginable. One day I went to test a pair of cheap-on Bluetooth earbuds. They sounded better than Beats earbuds. At the next meeting I blindfolded 5 employees and had them listen to those same 2 sets, same song, same volume, same phone, everything. They all agreed that the second option, the onset, sounded way better than the first set, the Beats. When the test was over they were astonished. Moral of the story is that brand name doesn't mean stuff. Something cheaper that can do the same thing will come along and might actually kick butt. Moral of the story is that a brand name is just a logo on a sticker. At the end of the day, it just comes down to having a solid construction and liking the sound. A lot of clothing. Most of it is made in the same sweet shops in China / Bangladesh / wherever. The only difference is the name on the label. Also, brands will make different quality stuff for sale in different stores. The Ralph Lauren clothes that sell at the high-end department store are not the same ones that you find at Marshall's, Kohl's, and Costco. Same at the outlets. Milk. I was in a Walmart looking at milk and an old man stopped me. He said he retired from the dairy industry. He told me the same milk plant, from the same cows, fills different colored cartons, from the same batch. He tapped his nose and winked and said, "It's all the same stuff." When I finally started making okay money, I had the great idea of shopping at nicer stores than Walmart. My family would always tell me I needed to shop at Fred Meyer, it's so much better quality items. I'm in the clothes section at Fred Meyer looking at socks and whatnot. I see a pack of Fruit of the Loom. $18.99, the exact same kind I was buying at Walmart for $8.99. Hanes $22, Walmart $12. I was in shock. Why would I shop here? It's the same crap just marked up. I'm not trying to hype a Walmart, I know they are a terrible company. But at least you're not getting charged $10 plus more for the same low quality stuff. They are probably getting the stuff from the exact same supplier at that. My grandfather owned a Tex-Today Island company and he sold the exact same shirts to Walmart to be sold for $60. Prairie Farms milk in the Midwest uses the same name brand milk when it produces Walmart's Great Value and Target brand milk. HDMI cables were a huge offender of this back when they were first introduced. They found all sorts of ways to justify paying over $100 for 5 feet of cable. But in reality, it's not about quality, but about customer manipulation. Let's say you see 3 HDMI cables on the shelf. First one is just wound and zip-tied, marked $5. The second is $25, and it's in a nice paper box with some snazzy graphics on it. Third one is $120. Has a thick box with dark maroon and gold graphics. Looks ornate and fancy. The consumer is going to think, well, I don't want something that looks cheap and will probably break after a week of use. So they skip the $5 cable. But then they look at the $120 cable. They figure, aha, I'm no fool. I know a rip-off when I see it. This is all just fancy packaging. So they skip the $120 cable. They happily choose the $25 cable, believing they have outwitted those clever marketing folks at the HDMI cable factory, and returns home with their smart, sensible purchase thinking they won. But they haven't. The cables are all the same. They just spent $20 more for a simple paper box. They were tricked by the middle option product, deceived into thinking it has any justifiable value over the cheaper one simply because it was placed next to an absurdly overpriced version. Fortunately, people have wised up to this practice, and thanks to user reviews on online retailers, it's much harder to pull this scam. But back in the mid-2000s, When HDMI cables first started rolling out, you had some pretty awful offenders out there. And even more unfortunate, a lot of I'm no fool consumers thinking they were seeing right through it. Hey, thanks for watching, and please if you enjoyed the video don't forget to like and subscribe.